And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition here of the Men of Steel podcast with your host with the most, Charles Prodigy Ritchie. As right now, as we're following up once again on the post draft of the Men of Steel. As always, you can catch me every Mondays and Wednesdays, usually about 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Got a little bit more breaking news and headlines. I learned this following the conclusion of my live stream that I did on this past Saturday following the draft. I got some major headlines, got a roster cut going on so far, and we also got news with a similar position to a current Steeler right now on the team. If you want, feel free and dial in and share your thoughts over the phone. The number to be reached for the Men of Steel podcast is 312-209-2232. Again, that is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on social media, on Twitter. I'd be followed at Prodigy Ritchie. Feel free to check out my Facebook page at Men of Steel Nation, capital M, capital S. And check out, or you can also check me streaming live on Instagram and YouTube. Instagram, you can follow me, Men of Steel Nation, all lowercase. And then on my YouTube channel, you can follow me, Men of Steel Podcast. That's my YouTube channel. And welcome back, everybody. And just cannot wait. Been really enjoying soaking in this draft all week and long. It was nice. It was beautiful for me, too, because I got to really enjoy Friday. I was off Friday and enjoyed everything that happened. Such a great start on Thursday. And many people are starting to look at it right now, including a lot of columnists for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that when they moved on from especially like a guy like Le'Veon Bell and, of course, Antonio Brown, but more particularly Le'Veon Bell, just think, let's just go back in time. If the Steelers would have not, if they would have signed Le'Veon Bell to his long-term deal, look at the opportunity that it probably might have cost for them getting an inside linebacker at this draft. Arguably, Le'Veon Bell, he's going to still be known as one of the better all-around offensive talents, and I understand that part. But at the same time, look at what's got you for right now. Obviously, of course, a lot of people are still adamant over them trading and, giving up this year's second-round pick in this year's draft. Some people think it might have shot themselves in the foot. I'm not necessarily too sure about it. But, Devin Bush, who is definitely one of arguably the top two linebackers in this draft class, obviously, for them to do something for the first time in over 16 years, where they last traded up and they were able to get Troy Polamalu, this just shows and tells you something. It tells you a little bit something about how they really feel about this character. And no doubt about it. You definitely had a lot of people right here who are looking at it and thinking, hey, gosh, you must really be that game-changing for this franchise. When you, like I said, you consider, once again, who you're moving on without Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, as we look at things. But, yeah, I definitely feel like it was just definitely one of those things. They needed to make it happen. Obviously, this is definitely makes up clearly for last year not getting them. But back to what I was saying earlier, and when I finished up my live stream podcast back on Saturday, April 27th, right after the conclusion of the entire NFL draft, there's news that they decided to release and part ways with Jon Bostic, inside linebacker, which I'm kind of like a little bit apprehensive about moving on from, to be honest with you. I definitely feel like that was, they're saving about $1.8 million in salary cap. But, honestly, too, they got Mark Barron, too, who also came over. When you look at, where he's coming from, and Mark Barron, who obviously made some big-time splashes. He just recently came over from the NFC champion Los Angeles Rams. and was also a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. But when you look at it this way, now if they are having Devin Bush, maybe we're starting to speculate if Devin Bush is going to really be starting most of the games or maybe all of the games this season. And we heard about Kevin Colbert, but I got to just say, I'm not too sure if I'm really, I mean, other than that, from a business standpoint, yeah, you're looking at the depth chart, you're going to have a little bit more competition. But I really feel like that right there, I will probably look at someone else, maybe like Ryan Switzer. I mean, Ryan Switzer, let's be honest. I mean, obviously, he may not be as much like a guy you want to like look at to move on from actually right away, or you look at stuff. But I think when you also draft a guy like when you look at in this draft this year, who they also got this year, and you talk about with your first round, I mean your first pick of the third round, you get Deontay Johnson, which by the way returned a couple of kick returns for touchdowns. There's gonna be more of a special team dynamic, which obviously takes a tremendous amount of pressure about people probably speculating, well, if Ryan Swisher is going to continue to struggle this year, what about Juju Smith-Schuster? Obviously, you don't want to hurt him or maybe James Washington, but, I mean, that's one thing you got to give credit to where credit's due with a guy like Antonio Brown. When he was bursting on the scene and during on his early years, he was definitely best. He was real good for those special teams right there as you look at it. And I can't help but not deny that. So, like I said, when I look at this from a moving standpoint, I get it, I guess. I'm just not too sure if I would have done with Jon Bostic on that move. I just think that was just a little bit controversial right there when you looked at it. I mean, Jon Bostic, remember, he came to the Steelers as an unrestricted free agent last year, who signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He signed with them for a $2 million deal for $4 million and received a $1.4 million signing bonus. But like I said, he's gonna be helping the Steelers save about $1.8 million towards the salary cap. I'm not too sure about that, to be honest with you. I have a little bit of hesitation because I really feel like he filled the void. I mean, obviously he didn't be no Ryan Shazier, but what he stepped in and did for this team, when you really boil down at the end of the day, I mean, Jon Bostic, I mean, listen, he was like fourth overall in total tackles overall. He was sixth in solo tackles. And he really definitely, I think, deserved a little bit more better than that. And he was in top 10, like, within the team's categories. I'm not too sure. If you guys want to feel free, agree or disagree, like I said, you can hit me up on Twitter at Prodigy Richie. Or if you want to feel free and call in and share your thoughts, you're more welcome to reach me live during this live stream. Number again is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. As we got a little bit more going into, I just feel like that might be a mistake right there. I may be proven wrong on that. We shall see as we move on a little bit more in time. But yeah, no doubt about it. I definitely feel like right there where you have to look at and really evaluate overall from a strategic standpoint if this is going to really be something that's going to enable the team's success. I mean, they really have that much confidence in Mark Barron to probably, I guess you could say, tutor a guy like Devin Bush. Obviously, they see a lot of stuff in him. I mean, just check out where this guy, where he's from. When you look at his overall profile, went to the University of Michigan, and comes from a very good, defensive-minded coach from Jim Harbaugh. So you got all those benefactors right there. And you know what? I gotta be honest with you. When I'm looking at this, I'm really liking this guy's moxie so far. I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, he's definitely saying, like, listen, I understand that Ryan Shazier, I mean, he really believes that he's going to be making the comeback this season. But at the end of the day, Devin Bush said he's going to be his own man. He's going to stand on his own 2 feet. He's going to be him, and Ryan Shazier is going to be him. And he really believes, he really expects for him to, like, make an unbelievable comeback. And speaking of which, like I said, as we got into a little bit more too, it was reported by Mark Kaboly of The Athletic, who he can be followed on Twitter at Mark Kaboly. That's capital M, capital K. Steelers, they placed Ryan Shazier on the reserve and physically unable to perform list, the PUP list. This will allow his salary to be counted as $473,000 on books instead of close to $1 million. So I think that's just very noble of Steelers right there. Obviously, like I said on Saturday and throughout this draft, I really got to believe he had, like, they had to go with him. They had to hear, like, his perspective on what it truly looked to be like not only someone like at his linebacker position, but just obviously more importantly to be a true Steeler for this team when you look at it overall. And I definitely feel that. But yeah, I definitely feel like Shazier, I mean, obviously, I mean, like the coaches, when you look at their thing, they obviously had to ask a lot of the right football questions. We'll get to Mike Tomlin a little bit later on towards the end as we move over here. But yeah, I really feel like right now that it's definitely been a refresher. I really, in my opinion, like I said, I give this grade overall for the entire draft that the Steelers did. I definitely give it an A. I mean, they definitely answered a lot of questions so far. I think the only things you can make an argument to was that did they miss out on outside linebacker in that position? Because when you look at it, too, I mean, because, you know, they were obviously able to get like an edge rusher in this draft, which I was very satisfied with. They got Sutton Smith out of the University of Northern Illinois. We'll get to him a little bit later on. But then you also got defensive tackle Isaiah Buggs. So I really like the fact that they've been focusing on shoring up this defensive front at the same time, too. I really think that is just as important right now as you look at things. I mean, honestly, too, I mean, that's one of the biggest MOs, aside from the Steelers' history of drafting linebackers as their bread and butter. But yeah, I remember, too, one can't go off the other when you think about that defensive line, that defensive front overall. And that's how I tend to look at it. But, yeah, I mean, definitely, because, like I said, how significant do you think, with the Steelers being all in on Devin Bush, will be more beneficial without the services of Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown going forward? I want to hear your thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Feel free to share this podcast and let me know what you think. I'll definitely get to questions as we move a little bit further on here on this edition of the Man Steel Podcast, which, once again, you can catch every Mondays and Wednesdays, usually about 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Running a little bit late today. I just want to apologize to folks out there who may be expecting me at my usual time. So definitely get that worked out a little bit more. But like I said, anything else that excites me for right now. I mean, ever since the historic collapse of losing the division and then having the drama with Antonio Brown overflow a little bit more and bring a lot more surface to the light with their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. And it's definitely been like an interesting offseason. But here we are. Like I said, it was a pleasure to go to the NFL Combine this year. I'm not going to lie to you, just from my experience overall at Lucas Oil Stadium, very stingy as far as like enjoying like the experience. To be honest with you, but I understand it now when looking back at it. Obviously, it was a lot more dedicated to these players trying to make a move into a professional league. That's what it's definitely all about. So again, Do you think Devin Bush is that much significant that the Steelers are going to be that much better without Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell? Agree or disagree? Feel free to tweet me your thoughts at Project Richie or leave me a comment on the live stream podcast. You can look up the Men of Steel podcast at Men of Steel Nation. You can find it right there. Let's move along too. Deontay Johnson, he's pumped up in this too. He's being quoted. And this was the guy who I mentioned. He's the guy who actually came out of the University of Toledo at 5'10". They more made to know for his special teams. He says, I know I'm faster than what I ran at the combine. Once I get the ball in my hands, I am way faster than running the 4-yard dash. I can play football. I have football speed. No doubt about it, but we shall see. I definitely got to think right now. This is a sign right now because when you look at a guy like Ryan Switzer, who's supposed to be a legit return guy here, I just wanted to say a little shout out to Julie Harshberger. Very pleasurable guest to have on my show and on deck. You can also catch me on Saturdays. What's up, Jules? I hope you're having a great weekend, enjoying some of this weather right now. Just being live here in the Men of Steel podcast. But Deontay Johnson, I got to believe this puts a little bit of pressure on a guy like Ryan Switzer, in my opinion. Because obviously, I'm not too sure like this is going to be the guy that replaces Antonio Brown. That is yet to be seen on that. He ain't going to be no Antonio Brown. I'm not saying that, but what do you guys think on this one? I mean, how much did you really like this pick over here? Obviously, a receiver was definitely going to be a need. Do you think this wide receiver pick was just a little bit too early in this draft when you look at everything, when you saw everything went down? Do you think they jumped on and did? I mean, obviously they got a corner. I mean, they got Justin Lane right there, too. University of Michigan, which, by the way, I alluded to on Saturday, too, by the way, when everyone saw the video that went viral of new first-round pick Devin Bush, a film of him stomping his cleats and on the Michigan State symbol, him being a Michigan Wolverine, by the way. Now you have Justin Lane on your team. I'm sure that'll be water on the bridge. But remember, this is the pick who the Steelers chose. This is the compensation they received from the Oakland Raiders. They got the number 2 pick in the 3rd round, obviously, and they were able to utilize it. But I got to wait and see how that's going to be in effect as we move things along. I definitely feel like right now, like I said, that's going to be more special teams than anything. I think, if anything, the guy that people are going to be mostly excited about when you really look at things, I got to believe is going to be their tight end at 6'8". And this was in the 5th round, their only 5th round pick they had, number 141 overall. Also, University of Michigan, which, by the way, they had 2 Michigan picks in this draft. And I'm talking about none other than Zach Gentry right here. I think this is going to be a guy right here that may be – I'm not too sure. I mean, is he going to be the guy that replaces officially Heath Miller after all these years? I mean, tight end is definitely one the Steelers have been left in the dark trying to fulfill when you look at things. Heath Miller was a real good security blanket when you think of things. I mean, Zach Gentry right here, who, when you look at everything, he had 2 touchdowns and a piece in back-to-back seasons in Michigan and in his last 2 seasons, 2017 and 2018. But he definitely has some legitimate scrimmage yards, I mean, so to speak. I mean, somewhat, it's got a little bit more area to work in. But overall, he's averaging about 16.7 yards average per receiving yards, 4 touchdowns total, with 49 plays for 817 yards total on scrimmage, 4 touchdowns. I just wonder with a guy like this size, this is going to be someone where he could develop and see how much he's going to be taken under wing by like guys like Vance McDowell, Xavier Grimble, and see what he does right there. I'm really going to be interested on that because this is definitely one position that Steeler fans have definitely been screaming at for a long time. And I cannot doubt that at all. I definitely feel like that's going to be like one of the another favorite too, aside from this draft, when people really want to look at things and they want to like really like lift their chops and have something to look forward to. I definitely feel like right now, let's see how it pays off. Let's see where it goes right here as we continue to take a look over here and move things along. And one other thing too, I mean, like I said, I mentioned it earlier too. Outside linebacker, this is going to be another position that I feel right now they should be okay when you look at overall the Steelers' depth chart on the team and what they try and able to manage with. When you look at it, all things considered, I think for right now, it's definitely going to be an interesting one because when you look at it, I feel like the Steelers right here. I think outside linebacker they should be okay. Granted, knock on wood, T.J. Watt, and I'm not trying to jinx anything at all, but he has definitely been everything as advertised since coming over to the Steelers team. When you look at all the things that he's been able to do, what he's been able to contribute, he obviously had a little bit of a slow finish down the stretch during his rookie season, but really continues to just pick things up. I mean, just look at this guy. I mean, this guy, like I said, in my opinion, T.J. Watt, who's year number 3, he's like the Steelers' version of a Clay Matthews right now, which, by the way, is with the Rams. And I gotta admit, I mean, when you look at Ed Bouchette, he definitely made a very fair point that he definitely needs to continue to stay healthy, needs to keep that streak going because, after all, when you look at everything, he started 15 games in his first year and was managed to start all 16 games last year. Games started, by the way. And so he's definitely going to be like one guy to keep an eye on. Definitely want to keep him healthy. I mean, obviously it's going to be a little bit difficult when you're in a game like football. Don't get me wrong, but look at it this way because when you really look at things, here's part where it gets like a little bit interesting, where they're just a little bit thin on the linebacker position because that left and right for the outside linebacker positions. You got T.J. Watt, obviously the starter. You got Anthony Chicklow, who's like the backup. And then you got Bud Dupree, and of course Anthony Chicklow, who can play left or right. It was pretty much the backup. So it really got like about 3 total right there. And I got to admit, it's very thin. But who's to say right now? Because remember, at the same time, too, the Steelers did, at the same time, too, I think they came to a terms with a couple of undrafted free agents. I mean, this past Saturday evening, as we take a look at it, as we look at everything, and they had like 10 of them all together as we look at them. And the only one thing that is still missing is definitely the outside linebacker position. Actually, I think one interesting note, though, too, they also have a cornerback on here. You got Alexander Myers right here, who was definitely one of the notable, names when you look at it. When you try and think of things, he is actually out of the university. He came from Houston, who definitely made some decent okay. I mean, a couple of picks and one pick in his last 2 years, in 2017 and 2018. But outside linebacker, I will agree that's definitely be something they may want to consider. Hopefully, will they strike a little bit of luck how they did 2 years ago? Were they able to find Joe Hayden? Surprisingly, when he got released by the Browns, and then guess what? You got someone on your squad right now ready to fill in and help. I mean, we should definitely see about that. I'm not going to pull all my eggs in one basket just yet with that, but I definitely got to believe this is something right here where you got to look at. You don't want to feel like they turn a blind eye. They turn a blind eye on it. I have to say, honestly, Not really, to be honest with you. Outside linebacker, I think they could still get away with it right now. Only reason why I still feel like they're going to be just fine in that area because you got a majority of your position right there when you look at things. A lot of your guys are still fresh and young. That's the thing. You got young bucks here. It's not like they're veterans right here and they're towards like the end of the rope. I think that's one thing that they got beneficial in this is their youth when you look at overall the Steelers and where they fit into things. I mean, it's definitely one thing to like look at and just say, hey, you think we should maybe kept our eye open a little bit on that? Or do you think it's just something we should have paid a little bit more attention for? Like I said, I'm not going to press the panic button on that one just yet. I think they'll be fine in that area because when you look at it, I mean, outside linebacker, you pretty much got majority of the guys like pretty much in your mid 20s, to be honest with you. So I think they're going to be fine just right there. I think they'll find another one, but I'm not going to say press the panic button and say it's just overly necessary. Of course, you don't want to overlook things. And you definitely want to be smart about it, but I think they're going to be A-okay in that area. So you can definitely give it a little bit more time. I mean, they did what they had to do when you look at overall in this draft. When you think about it, they did 5 defensive picks. They answered the question, yes, that this wasn't going to be a defensive draft. Mixed in with legitimacy on offense, too, and just want to check out. But also, too, you look at another linebacker here who I think is going to be like an underlooking guy. I mean, Ulysses Gilbert right here from his hometown of Akron right here, and Wentz University of Akron. I really believe this guy's going to have a lot of heart. And speaking of which, with Gary to get back into, he definitely feels right here that this team, as a matter of fact, when you look at things, he is saying right now that this has been a cleansing. How do you feel about that? You really actually can you honestly say right now this has been a cleansing? Yes, even though a lot of people would say the cancers are gone in the locker room. I don't like using that word a lot, but I'm just saying in general. I'm not really too sure how to say that just yet. Like I told a few people right now, you gotta look at it this way, folks. A lot more athletes in today's generation, it's a lot more different level of discipline, in my opinion, especially when you consider the age of social media. I mean, a lot of these guys right now, too, is we're not to go off topic here, but we're about 2 more years away from the CBA coming to a close and getting ready for renewal. And one thing a lot of players can be keeping an eye on is that guaranteed money. I'm not so sure if it's going to happen just yet, but I will say for right now, for the time being, you have to kind of keep an eye on it. You definitely want to show these players some love. People who will go war for you. I'm going to have to hold off right now. I'm going to probably be in the middle. I'm going to probably have to say somewhat disagree. I mean, it's still wait and see on that. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, on paper, it looks decent. But, I mean, just give you like another example. I mean, when you look at it, too, I mean, one of the other guys who came out here out of this draft, Benny Snell, I know a lot of people had to see him holding up Le'Veon Bell's former number 26 right there. Obviously, he's hungry for it. I don't know about you, Steeler Nation, but as far as like a running back, I may want to hold off on that a little bit. I do believe in certain things. I'm not going to go that deep, but certain things I don't think you want to mess around with. Obviously, he's got a lot of confidence. Some people may look as borderline, maybe somewhat cockiness, but good cockiness in a way where he's trying to promote himself and bring like a little bit of an attitude to this team. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, when you look at it, I mean, obviously, you got to think of it like this. How much do you want to be like there and really out there? Benny Snell might be one of the surprise picks in this draft on the offense in here. I mean, when you look at him coming from the University of Kentucky, I mean, overall, this guy's definitely had some great averages when he was playing. He's definitely like somewhere like in the top 100 when you look at his overall numbers here. I mean, Benjamin Snell Jr., as a matter of fact, is his full name, but he's rushed for 3,873 yards overall in his 3 years at University of Kentucky, averaging 5.3 yards rushing, well behind a good offensive line, which has been one of the reports right there. And guess what's coming to a Pittsburgh? A good offensive line. But that's going to be another question right there, too, without the service of Mike Munchak. How much is that going to slightly alter a little bit? We shall see on that. But, yeah, I mean, right here, and one of the things you got to be looking at, too, I mean, I think he just needs a little bit of work on it is catching that ball because he's only his career high as far as receiving yards, 105. So scrimmage yards was 4,089. I mean, when you look at the college number, probably subtract, a course when you look at like 1449 yard average, maybe I don't know about like another 200-300 of those yards right there, and we'll see where that lines up right there. But like I said, love the moxie about him. The main thing I think a lot of people could agree with, it's Steeler football at the end of the day. Well, a lot of people said, because when you even look at it too, I mean, when you consider things, I mean, at the end of the day too, I mean, even the running back coach for the Steelers, who definitely had an evaluation out of Benjamin Snell when he was giving his analysis at the press conference. That was Faulkner, and he definitely liked him a lot. Definitely liked the attitude, and he was one of the guys who claimed it as Steeler football, and I cannot blame him for saying that one bit. I mean, when you look at things, I mean, definitely when you think about it. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely an easy one to say. But for this right now, I mean, Eddie Faulkner, he was quoted as saying that he plays physical and hard and represents the Steelers brand as a football player. Made important qualities in a young buck like that. Also, let's get ready to close things out right here. Pittsburgh Steelers, as a matter of fact, when you look at it this year, according to Bleacher Report, they got them marked at about 8.5 wins this year. 8.5, and then you got the Cleveland Browns at about 9. And you got to really believe that they're probably looking at like the additions. I'm not going to lie, that Greedy Williams being snagged away, him being taken by the Browns, that's definitely going to hurt right now, in my opinion. I mean, I'm still a little worried on that one. They did not find a way to reel him in. But they got the Browns overall at 9 wins. Ravens also 8.5. And then last but not least, the Bengals at 6. Just to recap, Browns at 9 wins, Steelers and Ravens 8.5 apiece, and 6. I'm going to probably say right now it's really dependent on the season. I'm still maintaining it's going to start off at 8 at the very minimal, probably an 8-8 season. No more than 10-6. This is a season they cannot afford to start off slow. You cannot. You really want to kind of do what you did last year, but this time, much as you start, finish the job. And that's all I got to say for today's podcast. I just want to say thank you very much, everyone, for joining as always. Always a blast hosting this and doing this every Mondays and Wednesdays. Coming up in the next few days, we're going to be having a celebrity here coming up here on the Metal Steel podcast. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this one. And she's going to be a very real interesting one to have on here as we take a look at everything. I'm talking about none other than Olivia Weber, who's an actress with a couple TV series, The Deadlands, and working on a Netflix TV series. So can't wait to talk with her. She's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm going to get into her, share her reaction to the draft, as well as what's like being a Pittsburgh sports fan while being an actor and singer. All right, buddy. Well, once again, thank you very much for joining me. Remember to check me out every Mondays and Wednesdays here on the Metal Steel Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Project Richie. That's PROGIGYRICHEY. Check me out on Instagram, Men of Steel Nation, Facebook at Men of Steel Nation, capital M, capital S. And feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast. All right, buddy. Well, hey, hope everybody's having a great pick me up Monday. I don't start the work week, but hey, that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for, to keep you guys, Steeler Nation, intact. As I always leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone. Holy shit, what's that do? That's wow.